So it's been another exciting week here in Iran, and we're here to tell you all about it. So stay with us and stay with Iran. Now, for decades now, Iranians have become accustomed to consuming subsidized goods and services. And I know for many people all around the world, living in an oil-rich country in the Middle East, such as Iran, must mean having cheaper benefits, such as fuel, electricity, running water, and natural gas. General strategic commodities that the government uses to make life easier for its citizens. Although things seem to be changing, particularly in Iran. Let's go join Ami Mehdi Kazemi as he tells us a bit more about these changes, particularly in the realm of energy. Let's go join him now.
For nearly half a century, Iranians have been used to consuming subsidized commodities and services with extremely low prices, with bills showing numbers close to nothing. But the situation is now beginning to change as the government of President Ahmadinejad pushes to implement an economic reform plan aimed at abolishing subsidies and paying them directly to the people. This means that the government lifts its financial support from sectors such as energy and instead compensates people with cash payments, but only for the lower income part of the society. Iran's government believes that cheap subsidized energy has resulted in a custom of wasting precious energy by the people only because it's cheap. And it is the bill you receive by the end of the month which tells you that despite pressures on the government, you have nothing to worry about. Iran's energy minister says that his administration has to beg people to stop wasting electricity where they don't need it.
We have reiterated many times that our energy consumption growth rate is many times higher than the average growth rate in the world. Why? Because of low prices. You probably won't find any country where the government has to beg people to lower their energy consumption. In most countries, energy is supplied in a free market and the governments earn money by selling it. That's why they even encourage people to consume more. But as I said, we have to beg people not to waste electricity.
The fact is that Iranians will sooner or later have to adapt themselves with a new lifestyle. In other words, a more energy-efficient lifestyle. The government has already started a public education program through mass media on energy efficiency. Even schools and kindergartens have been officially assigned to instill the matter into the minds of Iran's future generation.
مصرف بی‌رویه کار بدیه.
چرا؟
مردم‌ها میخوان.
کجا بهتون یاد دادن اینو؟ But despite recent efforts, Iran still has a long way to go from a state squandering its energy resources to an energy-saving state. Iran is considered as one of the richest countries in the world in terms of oil and natural gas resources. But in fact, the country imports most of the gasoline consumed by vehicles. It is interesting to know that the amount of money that you pay for a small bottle of mineral water in the country is nearly 5 times more than the same amount that you pay for half a liter of gasoline with a ration card. This means that the Iranian government is paying huge amounts of subsidies in order to make life easier for its citizens. But making life easy at what cost? The Iranian government says that it is paying $100 billion on direct and indirect subsidies annually. That is only on energy and utilities. Iran's economic reform plan aims at eliminating subsidies from basic commodities and targeting the money towards sectors that are in desperate need for capital investment, such as industries. Experts believe that prior to eliminating subsidies, the government must first plan to raise the level of spending and avoid risking public welfare.
Now, the higher the market price, the free market price of the energy items, and the lower the amount of the subsidy the government will give to the lower income people, as the subsidy then is going to be a higher, we are going to have a higher jump in the average level of prices. And then that increase will spread to the other items. It's not going to just stay in the energy commodities. It will spread to almost all items that are being bought and sold in the economy.
In 2008, a bill was submitted to the Iranian parliament demanding that the government start implementing the economic reform plan in the new Iranian fiscal year. But after months of debate and controversy, the government decided to take it back, as the parliament refused to ratify all the terms and conditions laid by the government, arguing that the plan would trigger a two-digit inflation rate, which has already made living difficult for the majority of Iranians.
How can we stop the rapid growth of energy consumption in the country and at the same time prevent the pressures that it exerts on the people? We have to plan a subsidy system which does not interrupt people's ordinary lifestyle.
It seems that President Ahmadinejad's administration is revising the plan once again and wants to give it a new try for a final endorsement by the parliament. Iran's first vice president, Parviz Davoudi, who is also the professor of economics, is confident about the plan.
The economic reform plan is one of the basic programs of Iran's government, which must be implemented. The price jump triggered by the plan could not be regarded as inflation, because when subsidy prices are corrected, commodity prices will sharply rise. If we don't properly distribute the resources which are derived from the plan to the lower deciles of the society, then we will have pressure on the people. But we are not going to let that happen.
Iran's oil minister told me that the issue about a skyrocketing rise in prices was an exaggeration.
We have planned to implement the correction of energy prices gradually and in a period of 3 years. This way we will be able to avoid a sudden shock to the consumers. The economic reform plan also aims at spending some 60% of the government's income from subsidy cuts for 70% of the country's population.
Although the plan is not yet ratified, there are already growing fears among the people over the multiple rise in consumer prices, especially on basic commodities.
The government must do a proper planning on this issue. For instance, if fuel is expensive in Britain, the people also have higher incomes.
We are not satisfied with the rise in energy prices, but I think it could have an impact on the people's consumption pattern.
Current electricity and fuel prices are a perfect example of how much the government is spending on subsidies in Iran. This is my fuel ration card. With this card, I would be able to buy 120 liters of gasoline every month for less than 10 cents per liter. And this is my electricity bill. The real price on the bill shows $40, but I only have to pay $6 because the government is paying the rest. This means that Iran's government is paying 85% of my electricity bill. Iran's fiscal year starts within 2 months. If the government succeeds to eradicate energy subsidies with its economic reform plan, the citizens will have to quit old consuming habits through cutting down the amount of fuel, electricity, natural gas, and the water they consume every day. Otherwise, they will have to spend most of their monthly income on paying energy bills. Iranians are gradually starting to realize the fact that the era of cheap subsidized energy in their country is now over. Amir Mehdi Kazemi, Press TV for Iran.